Welcome to Fostering Godlike Sexuality at Home. Our goal here is to empower parents to teach their children to see sex in a godlike way.
My name is Brigham Elton. I'm a pornography and sexual addiction counselor who've helped thousands of people overcome even the appeal of pornography. And I'm hoping to get out in front of this and try to help parents to set up their homes to chase godlike sexuality from the beginning.
My name's Andrea, a mother of 4, and I'm learning alongside all you listeners. I'm excited to have these discussions. Thanks for joining us.
Just a couple weeks ago, we had a podcast go that was like us individually, me and my wife teaching our daughter Charlotte, and that was almost a year ago now. Like
that conversation happened a year ago.
Yeah. I recorded it. I think it was like May or June, like in 2024, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been quite a while, but my wife actually miscarried that baby, and now then we got pregnant again, and then now we are due at the end of April, and so we wanted to do a conversation that was teaching our children primarily about like gestation and birth, right? And so like this is a group conversation. Like this, you're going to hear a bunch of different kids, right? And we're all trying to teach like this is what it's going to happen to mom's body.
Yeah. So what was the setting like?
Yeah. So we're in our family room. We started on the couch. We have like a table in the middle and a projector that's like projecting these images of like the female body, a little bit of the male body, and then through the process of gestation and birth. And honestly, like it started and everyone was sitting down and we're like, okay, Dad's going to teach a science lesson today. And then we set up and everyone sits down and there's some excitement there because I only really teach them once every other week, maybe, as we are a homeschool family. And as soon as we get those pictures up, like within 30 seconds, everyone's up at the front, you know?
Yeah.
And you'll kind of be able to hear that as this goes, right? That like pretty quickly, everyone is like, made their way clear up to point and touch and honestly chaos erupts.
Yeah, they feel like they can really participate in this, like that they're not being just talked at, but they are learning with.
Yeah, which like sometimes I think like, oh, it'd be nice if they just sat and listened, but like this is the attitude that and the like, I don't know if casual is the right word, but just like the comfortability that like I want to land at with what sex is, you know?
Yeah, cool.
And so, I mean, you're going to hear my 2-year-old like scream a bunch of different times.
Yep.
And like, she just wants to be heard and she will talk endlessly if we let her talk to us endlessly, which is awesome. And I love having her there, but like, I think that brought the culture and the like climate, I guess is a better word, that we really wanted to create.
Yeah, I like how you're pointing out, like, it'd be nice if everyone would just sit and listen, like, and I could get through this, right? Yeah. And I think sometimes that's our initial attitude as parents, like, okay, I know where I'm starting and I know where I want to end up, so I just want to keep moving through that, right?
Totally.
And the more we can shift that to focusing on, like, what's the climate we want around the information that we're sharing, that'll help us like pause and allow for breaks and answer questions and not be so attached to our agenda that like we miss out on allowing the kids to kind of set the climate for us.
Totally.
Which is awesome because if we come with baggage and we're like uncomfortable, like again, we can let our kids lead out in creating that climate.
Yeah, that's something I'm learning more and more is that like actually like if you have your own baggage, the earlier you start, the better because your kids are going to be less affected by your baggage.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, oh my goodness, you know, like it's not, their weight is so low that like sometimes that's easier. Like when I was listening back to this, I was like, oh my goodness, like why did I even include my 2-year-old? Like my 4-year-old really like had a learner's brain and was trying to learn. My like 7-year-old was like a little bit trying to prove what she knew and then a little bit just like had questions again, you know? But as I listened back to it, I'm like actually having her there made a huge difference. Like it brought the climate we wanted. That we're a family. We're learning about this as a family. No one is excluded. It's not something that's adult information. This is human information.
Human information. You know? I love that.
And like, I loved having her there. As much as it made it chaotic, I think that made it so awesome too.
Yeah.
To have that 2-year-old energy that I think affected everyone. Okay, so like originally in my like when I was planning my life and I've learned this, and honestly I've been a professional doing this for 10 years, like I wasn't really ever planning on doing group conversations. And
about
honestly,
sex with your kids.
About sex with my kids, yeah. And like we obviously talk about it openly all the time, but I wasn't really ever planning a group thing.
Yeah.
I did this honestly because of you. Because like you were like, there's so much value in a kid learning as a group, right? And I just would like you to
Yeah.
speak to that. Like, why do you think that group family learning is so important?
I think that it sets the tone that like the kid isn't the only one with like the information, right?
Yeah.
And I think that when they hear their siblings ask questions, it spurs questions in their mind. Like all of a sudden
Totally.
you have more learners that are on more or less the same level, or at
Yes.
least a different level from where the parent's at,
Yeah.
stimulating the conversation and the dynamic,
Yeah.
right? And those younger kids, I feel like you said they kind of bring a different attitude for those older kids. And I
Totally.
think especially if you are, you have an older family and you're trying to figure out how do I start these conversations? Like I worked with one family recently who has older kids and they're like, okay, we need to have sex talks with our kids because we have never done that. Like the
Totally.
only thing they've gotten is like health class at school sort of
Yeah.
thing. And my suggestion to them was like, hey, if you've got an older kid that feels comfortable and confident, like teaching the anatomy,
Yeah.
like let them lead your family discussion on like, hey, these are the parts of the male body, these are the parts of the female body.
Totally.
And like now you have the younger kid learning from the older kid. The older kid who doesn't really want to be cornered is now all of a sudden like
A participant.
and like
Yeah.
facilitating for the younger kid,
Yeah.
but also learning alongside.
That's awesome. Honestly, now I am like so sold. Like
Mm.
I'm so sold. And like I honestly am like this. Yeah, there's some individual stuff really matters,
Yeah.
But like this was a great gauge for me, like pulling out of this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, my 4-year-old is ready. Like
Yeah.
we could probably do her individual conversation pretty soon.
Right.
And like it was a great gauge for me about where they are individually,
Mm-hmm.
but also like my wife afterwards was like, wow, that went so much better than our
Yeah.
individual one. Like, and she had just listened to our individual one because I was just about to put it as a podcast. And I was like, hey, do you want to make sure you feel good about this going out,
Yeah.
And like she was like, that went so much better. And
Mhm.
honestly, as I listened to this, I'm like, is it really better? Like I was so chaotic, but the feeling was so
better.
awesome in that room,
Yeah.
and it felt way less like heavy serious and way more like this is part of life.
Right. I love that. And like you kind of strategized, right? Like, so your kids are a little bit different learners. And we talked about that in the
Yeah.
previous podcast, where this being a second pass for Charlotte gives her that change of climate.
Totally.
Your second child, letting this be the first pass. Now, when she goes and has that one-on-one conversation with you, it's going to cement a little bit
I
more
agree.
for her.
Yeah, and she'll feel more comfortable, right? Because she knows it.
Yeah. And she
You
knows
know?
that her siblings know it and that it's
Yep.
not like confidential information, like you said.
Totally, not just a her thing.
Mm-hmm.
Their experiences listening to this were quite different. And I think this is
Yeah.
something I want people who like choose to listen to this afterwards, like to look for, is that like at different stages, kids are going to have different experiences in a sexual learning conversation.
Right. So like you had a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old,
And a 7-year-old.
and a 7-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. Like that 2-year-old, cute Eden is just like, this is all about me. Like
Yes.
I swim and like I don't wear clothes.
Yeah.
Like I didn't wear clothes when I was a baby. And like she's telling everything she hears, she's wondering like, how does this relate to me? And then she's speaking it. Right.
Totally.
And then you have like this middle age kind of like, oh, I know. Like they want to be seen and heard as like, I understand what you're saying and I have
Yeah.
information to contribute.
Yeah.
So like I know what that part of the body's called. I know how this happens. And they are calling out what they already know. And that
Yeah.
like confidence is so cool.
Which I think is a cool demographic to listen to her have that conversation
Mm-hmm.
almost a year ago that we just heard 2 weeks ago. And now here's Charlotte again, now as a 7-year-old a year later. And like her confidence around sex is really high.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not this discomfort thing. She's just like, oh yeah, I know about that. That's how it works.
Yep.
Right. And I love where she's emotionally landing with sex.
Mm-hmm.
Right. As she hits puberty, there's going to be a re-emotional definement. It's going to be like, hopefully we can get there again. But
Yeah.
but starting from this position is going to make that so much
So
easier.
positive.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right. And then we have Amelia, who's in between, right?
Uh-huh.
Who's our 4-year-old. She's coming quite near 5. And she's jumping between the two. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, oh yeah, my hand was by my head.
Yeah.
And then sometimes she's like, I have a question.
Yeah.
Right. And it's interesting to see them
Yep.
flirt between those different stages.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do you want to
The last thing I want to point out is I think you'll hear our anchor information over and over and over again, right? We'll start with it. We'll be like, the goal here is for us as a family to learn about what's happening with mom's body and how Marin is our daughter that's going to be born, that Marin is a part of both mom and dad.
Yeah.
And like, I just want you to know how amazing I think mom's body is and like how amazing I think your body can be. And you'll see that
Mm-hmm.
woven in like every time. And honestly, like sometimes it's okay, I'm about to transfer. Let's hit the anchor again. And then let's go to the next picture or topic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that like for parents, if you aren't as comfortable and used to speaking to what you want your anchor message to be, like you are, Brigham, like have that conversation with your spouse. Like, what is our anchor, and make it short and simple. I think it's positive for like each parent to have their own statement that they like start with and that they end on. And like you said, use in that transition moment.
Yeah. Cause it is like, we don't talk about this a ton, and we come from a culture of not speaking about it, you know? And I understand that that's hard. And like, I'm someone who speaks about it constantly, and still sometimes like I'm on my thought train, and like, I don't want my kids to interrupt me. I want to get through it because I want to make sure I say the right thing. And like, I think this having an anchor point helps me to, you know, slow down a little bit, keep hitting the anchor. It can keep going wherever, let the like conversation go where it goes.
Shift and meander.
And then you can bring it back to the anchor.
Yeah.
Like, come back to the anchor, teach a little another portion, then hit the anchor again.
Absolutely. Another thing that I was thinking might be important to talk about is just like the amount of information you choose to cover, right? So like wherever you are at in terms of like what you feel confident talking about as a parent, like stick with that. Like you don't have to go and become like professional with all the details of like stages of labor and delivery, or you know, how an egg matures exactly, and all of those details if you're not there. Just stick to what you feel like those basic fundamentals that you feel confident speaking to.
Totally.
And if your kid has a question that you're like, I don't really know how to answer that, like, then just tell them, like, I'm not quite sure how to answer that, but like, let's look it up together and we'll find out, because that's a good one. Yeah,
I love that. Because not everyone is at the same level of like anatomy and gestation progression information.
Yep.
You'll also see like our values are kind of just kind of woven through here as well, you know? And I think that naturally comes out. Like, we made zero effort to do that.
What values do you feel like came through?
I think one comes through that like your body's meant for this, you know?
Cool.
Like, I think sometimes people see like pregnancy sometimes as this like sickness or dangerous thing, you know? And like, we want to send the message in our home that your body is meant for this, you know? Like, we want to try to decrease birth fear, right? And one of my daughters is starting to talk about like, wow, that's going to really be hard and it's going to hurt me, you know? And like, we don't want to dismiss those two things. But we also want to have woven in there, your body's built for this.
Yeah.
Like, and like, we believe in you and we believe God believes in you. Obviously, you'll hear us talk about God, and that like the reason this works out is because of God.
God's plan, yeah.
You know, even you'll hear that like I'll talk about, my one daughter will say like, this will happen to me once I'm married. And I'll be like, yeah, like it could be when you're married. But like, really, you'll get to choose when you're ready, right? And like, sure, marriage is one of my values, that like waiting till marriage to have a child and to have sex. Yeah, that's one of my values. But it actually is a lower value than I believe you're a chooser. And like, you get to choose what happens in your life, you know? And so like, you'll see that value even get prioritized in that portion of the conversation.
Yeah, I think that was such a good one. And I'm really excited for parents that choose to listen to this whole thing to hear that part, because I think a lot of parents that I talk to, they do wonder like, how do I teach them and when do I teach them like that it's supposed to be within marriage and things like that.
Yeah.
And the way you word, like I also believe that it should be when you're married. Like I totally believe in that too. Like you're kind of paralleling your daughter's stating kind of her values that she's adopted, right?
Yeah.
And you're paralleling that, and then you're also adding that extra value of like, but you'll get to choose when you are ready for this.
Totally. And that's so important to me. Yeah.
Is it for all the kids? It's for all the kids.
Okay. The hope today is that Mom and I can teach you guys about what's happening in Mom's body and how we, Mom and I, together were able to create a body for Marin. Does that make sense? Cool. So this is some of the body parts. This is a body part inside of Mom. And so Mom, her body is shaped like this. This is Mom's body, right? And this is where her vulva would be. And then she has her vagina and her uterus, and that's where the baby grows. It's inside
so
of
it gets
Mom's.
bigger as the baby gets bigger?
It gets bigger.
It's like a balloon, how you blow it up with air.
Yeah.
It's stretchy.
And so when we decided to have a baby together, Mom and I chose to have sex, and Dad put his penis inside of Mom's vagina.
I knew that's how you did it.
And that dad's penis releases this stuff called sperm. All these little things right here are sperm in the drawing. They're not real, but they're just pretend.
What do you mean they're pretend?
Yeah.
Well, they're just a drawing. All of it's just a drawing, obviously. Yeah. So these got released inside, and they start to swim, and they found the egg. And so you swim?
Yeah.
That's awesome. They went and they found the egg, and then the egg started to divide and divide and divide and divide and divide and divide.
Can
And
I
then
pause you?
attached
Have a time?
to mom's uterus.
You point to the ovary, Dad.
This is the ovary.
That's where the eggs are made, and that's where the eggs are held, and then they get released every month.
What's the other side?
I have two
Same.
ovaries.
This is another ovary that gets released.
So when you're a girl and you grow up and go through puberty, what happens is your eggs will start to release. Puberty means your body is grown up enough to be able to create another person.
So like my eggs are like this big.
Your eggs are the same size as my eggs, but your body's not ready. Your body's not big enough. It needs more muscle and more fat and more things to go on in your brain. So your body will wait until it's ready, and then when it is, it'll start to release an egg from the ovary, and it will go down that tube that Dad said, and it will sit in the uterus. If there's no sperm that finds the egg, then every month my body will let go of that egg and all the stuff inside that it made to get ready for that baby. And that's called the period. So that will come out every month. So this happens all the time. The only difference is now is that Dad's sperm found the egg this time, and that's how it started to make the baby.
So then Marin starts to grow, right? Where it starts to divide, and this is the cell, and it gets the sperm, find the egg, and then it starts to become a lot of cells. And by the
Cells that
time,
make up your whole body.
yeah, and then that baby,
Okay.
and that's the baby starting to grow, right? Yeah, you're growing too. But this is a representation of a Marin. You do have your clothes. Leave your clothes on. I know this baby doesn't have his clothes on because Marin doesn't wear clothes inside of mom's uterus.
Yeah, no clothes.
Yeah,
No clothes.
inside me, but outside we wear
Daddy,
clothes. Huh?
something.
Come on up.
It goes. This is
Yeah. Yeah, Marin's like right here right now. She's not quite ready, but she's really close.
So she starts as just this tiny little part of mom and dad. There's dad part and a mom part. And then she grows and gets bigger, and she's right there until she's all ready to come out.
So right now, that's what's been happening in mom's uterus for the past, 7 months.
That's why the belly's getting bigger.
That's why her
So
belly
just look
keeps
how
getting
far
bigger.
she started like this, and it's getting bigger so that it can hold her. So it's got to be able to stretch. So our bodies are really good at stretching.
So this mom is at her 7th month. So this is the stage that Marin's at right now.
Why do they turn upside down as they go?
That's because their head needs to come out first. That's
No, I'm not
the
gonna push up.
safest way for the baby to come out. And so when they're starting to getting ready, they'll flip around. And they'll look like this before they're ready to come out. This has happened to all of you guys. You guys had all this happen to you too. You were born in there and you were sleeping. Yeah. Can you come over here and let Dad have a turn?
So this is like baby Marin right now in mom's uterus. This is mom's belly. Oh, this
You
is
see
like
where
you.
the bum is?
You were in mom's
it's
belly
like
like
she's
this too.
facing sideways. Do you see
Oh,
that?
they cut her in half.
You see if if mom stood up and was like this, it'd be the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see that?
You can't touch the table.
You can't
Remember,
touch
look,
the table.
it ruins the picture. It ruins the picture.
Okay. So then this is sometimes why mom has to go pee is because it pushes on mom's.
That's where the
organs.
pee gets held in our body. Is that little
Yeah, that's how you
little part under.
squeeze it to
And
Ah.
Can you show where the poop comes out, Dad?
Because,
So
Yeah.
all of my other stomach and everything is up above, and then it comes down and goes behind. See that where your bum is? So you have your poop and your pee come out, and then you see where the baby comes out. So there's
the baby comes out in your vulva.
Yep, so here's my cervix, which is like a little door holding a baby in. This is my vagina, and my vulva's right here. You see this
You
part?
hold me.
That's my vulva.
And
So
you hold
the
me.
baby will come out of my
And you
vagina.
hold me.
The vulva protects the
Lift
holes.
me up and
So the pee.
you're holding me. And it got
You're trying to
back.
stop it.
What is that?
Can I hold you?
No, what is this?
I think it's the clitoris. I don't know.
You're not
So this is where
going
the
down.
pee gets held. So my tummy's up here and I eat my food. And then when my body's ready to get rid of the stuff it doesn't need, it sends it down here as poop, or it sends it to here as pee. So I have a hole for my pee. I have a hole for my vagina, vagina. And my vulva protects those holes. And then my bum is here. So there's 3 holes. One for pee, one for poop, one for the baby.
And your vulva does the same thing.
What's that blue thing around the baby?
That's a great question. That is a sac. What? I don't want to hold you the whole time. That is a sac that is protecting the baby because the baby's actually floating in this fluid. It's almost like the baby's swimming all the time.
It's like a balloon full of water with a baby
This
inside.
is the cord.
Yep, there's the cord. So this is the
Umbilical
placenta.
cord.
This is how baby Marin's
That's
eat.
an
It's
umbilical.
attached
That's an
to my
umbilical
uterus.
cord.
This is
It's an
part of my
umbilical.
body, and this is part of baby Marin.
I think I know what it's
And
called.
what it does is it takes
What?
food from my
Umbilical
uterus.
cord.
It says,
Yeah, the
"Hey,
placenta
mom's
is
body,
an
I need some food," and it sends all the food through this tube
This is
Mary,
mine.
into her body.
And
And that's how she's growing. 'Cause we
oh,
need to
no
eat to grow,
wonder.
right?
That's why her feet. She can kick.
Yep, that's
Put
what
it
she
up
kicks
there.
me. Yep. Sometimes she's
I like it.
Do you see this right here? This hair from what's on my vulva?
You always have that.
Yep. So that's where.
Do you shave it?
Those are the parts. Sometimes I do if it gets. Yeah, there's sometimes I will shave it. It depends, and you can talk about that at another time. When I do
Hey.
that.
So then, eventually, that baby's going to turn,
Listen, it's Dad's turn.
and then that baby, the cervix is going to open or dilate, is what it sometimes gets
It's
called.
like that little door.
I know.
This
So
little
it
door.
goes,
It goes this way.
Then she gets out.
Yep.
It's like a little
One,
door that opens.
2, the door starts to open. It's called dilate. 4, 3, she starts to rotate. 4, she starts to come out of mom's vagina. 5, here comes the head. And then she kind of turns when she comes out for 6. Right? Here's another set of pictures about that, right?
Our body is
So-
really good at stretching, and so when I relax and I can work with my body, and Marin can work with my body, then my body can stretch big enough for her to come out.
So someone has to pull the baby out?
This is just showing us how someone might help you.
Yeah, this is typically what Carla does. She's the helper.
She's
That
checking.
mom has chosen.
She's checking in case the cord is wrapped around the neck of the baby, because we don't want to tug on that cord, or we don't want to tug on the neck of the baby. And so she's checking to see if there's any cord, or if she can come out smoothly and safely. Otherwise, we kind of have to move the cord.
And so you kind of see this from the outside
So that
See?
brown part is the baby's hair coming out.
of mom's vulva. Can you please
Can
go
you
sit
come
on
here?
the couch or this couch?
You gotta sit down on a couch so people can see the pictures.
So this is the baby's hair coming out of the vulva. Then it's stretched. It's even more. Then the head starts to come out, and then they're checking. See this? This is the cord, and they made sure to put the cord around the baby's head so that the baby doesn't get tugged on its head. Because this happened to mom, where her cord was around her neck, and Nathan,
And Eden.
and Eden.
Yeah, to me.
Nope. You
And
didn't have
then
a cord. You had a hand.
That's when the
come out.
baby comes out, and then as soon as the baby comes out, the baby already knows how to get
Suck?
mom's milk. Yeah,
How?
just instincts. The baby's instincts just already knows
Heavenly
how.
Father makes us, and He makes us in a way that we can survive. And I think that if the baby didn't know to eat, then it it wouldn't survive. So I think the Heavenly Father kind of gives us little clues like that.
So mom's breasts right now are getting ready so that they can be ready to give baby Marin the energy that she needs. Because mom's body's already getting Marin energy through her uterus and through the placenta. But next it'll be through mom's breasts. Isn't that amazing? Oh, I just think this is so cool. Yes.
The baby's gonna suck and choose the baby.
Yeah. Yeah, and one day, like, your body will get ready for this too. Isn't that so cool? Like, your bodies are built to be creators.
No,
Yeah.
I'm milking my body.
Really?
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Not to the other page,
I just
Dad.
think that this video is kind of a cool way to see how it works. And so we're kind of done with new information, but I wanted to show you this video.
This is the same thing we just talked about, but a video instead of pictures. So all of this that will happen is on the day that Marion is born. So can I see what page we're on? I don't want to lose our spot, so let me just check the page.
Okay, yeah.
7, 2:15. So this will all happen. None of this is happening right now. Right now she's still growing, but on the day that Marion is born, this stuff will start to happen.
Okay.
So it's important for me to listen to my body and kind of try and see what's kind of going on with it. That's what we always talk
So
about.
do you see mom's belly? It's like she's laying on her back. This is her belly. This is her spine. These are her legs. This woman's legs.
I'm the blue.
Right?
Okay, I have a
The blue
question.
and the baby
Yeah.
is the red.
So, how? Never mind.
You got it? You want to tell us what you learned?
You
Okay.
see the placenta at the top?
Yeah, but how do you get it out?
It comes out when it's ready. My body will let go of it and it will come out.
And then you make another one?
Yep, make another one because that placenta
Because your placenta was different than the million.
that placenta is not from
So,
my body. That's from
So my head didn't
Marin
come
made
out.
that
So
placenta.
my head didn't come out. My arm came out first, right?
You had your hand right here by your face.
Oh, you're like.
Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see that baby kind of come and twist, and that right there is the cervix opening, right? Your mom said the door.
Water
And
kinda
the
comes
water
out.
just came out. When the water breaks, and then the baby twists and comes out, you see her uterus moving down.
My body will push
It out, and then there comes out the baby. This is a baby.
the bones
it's bones.
version. So there's my bones and her bones. See, it has to turn to make it around the
Turn
bones.
to get her through the bones. Push, baby. Come on, you can do it. Oh, there you go. That's how it works. This is this is the helper, and the baby gets that head and turns it, and then it pushes with its body, and the mom helps it turn and come out. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, that helper's helping.
You hold me and put my hand.
Yeah.
I just want to show this part one more time. See this? So the cervix opened, and then the water came out. So you hear Mom and I talk about, did your water break?
Yeah,
And that's when it happens. The bag breaks.
Doesn't always break though because yeah.
Sometimes you cut it out in a bag.
When I had Charlotte and when I had Eden, the bag of water didn't break until the baby started pushing out. So
In fact,
sometimes
we
the
saw
bag
the bag first for you, Charlotte, and then we saw the hair. We thought the bag was gonna pop like a balloon.
But with Amelia, it worked like this video, how it came out a little bit and then you came out. But with Eden and Charlotte,
The bag came out with.
I was pushing, and the head was coming out, and then the bag popped. So it's a little bit different. It happens different just a little bit every time.
Yeah.
And so that's why I listen to my body.
Is that why I was older than Eden?
Oh, you're older because God sent you to us first.
Oh. Before Eden?
Yeah.
Not before Charlotte. Charlotte's older.
Yep, Charlotte was first, and then you, and then Eden, and then Mary.
Yeah. And so we just wanted to go over because I want you guys to understand what is happening with Mom's body, and I want you to know how awesome I think Mom's body is. Like it's so amazing that Mom and I together
Can you go
can make it
back
into you.
to the thing? Because I have a question.
Yeah. This one. I would love to answer your question, Amelia.
It's actually over. So I'm coming out because I'm coming out. Okay. So let that pay. How does vagina? Your baby.
So the vagina, stay right here. The vagina is this part. It doesn't push the baby. It's just the tunnel, like the hallway that the baby goes down. The uterus is the muscle. And it squeezes the baby, and then the baby comes through the hallway, kind of, the vagina. So it opens these doors called the cervix, and then it comes through, then it comes out, yeah. The uterus is such a strong muscle, and it will squeeze. At first it holds, and then it squeezes to get it out. Just like how your bladder squeezes to get rid of your pee.
Yeah, and this will happen to me when I'm a grown up.
Yep, after you go through puberty, your body will be ready. When you're a grown up?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I'm married, it will happen. I'm married before I'll get it.
I believe it's best to be married before you have kids. I believe that too. But you'll get to choose when you decide to have kids.
So the baby was out. The making easy hair on your shoulder. The baby was out. A boy can't have a boy.
Yeah, you need a mom and a dad
Just
to have a
say
baby, huh?
Not the
You need a
baby.
boy and a girl because you need two parts.
Yeah,
Remember
you
how
just
it's
have to
one?
have a book. In the book, here and there, all the way up there, and so no pain. And it's up there, so high.
That's what school's like.
And
Very much.
Okay.
and
Amelia, do you have any questions
no way.
you'd like to talk about
Can
this?
you go back?
Because we're about done doing this.
One
Which way? This way?
Yeah. This goes through her bum, and
Yeah, that's where she poops from.
this is the hallway.
Yep, the vagina is what it's called.
The
It's
red
like a
parts,
hole.
the pink parts are muscles, and the yellow part is the fat
The,
part, like a layer of protection, and the white is bones, and then the brown part represents the pink part.
Something on this. No, this one is where she tapped. This one is she starting to turn over, and this one a little bigger, then she's out.
Yep. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It's fun to hear like all of the things that you were able to cover in that conversation. Like it was a lot. And it was a lot of preparation for these girls to participate in a home birth, right?
Totally.
And so again, like that conversation is going to look a little different depending on the style of your family and the stories in your family. You know, adoption stories are going to be different when you're teaching about sex, right? So just leaning into your own family dynamic, I think is really powerful.
Yeah. And like, what an awesome, like, again, emotional, like anchor point we just put for our kids about like, this is comfortable. And like, we can talk about this as a family. This is a part of our family. This is a huge part of our family.
Yeah. And that we're excited for your bodies to grow and develop into this. Like
Totally.
they're kind of thinking through all those layers in these conversations.
Totally.
And the conversation really does weave. And as you're progressing, like there's times where you just like pause and you let them look at the pictures and they ask questions. And towards the end, the information kind of drips off, right? It starts to slow down.
Yeah.
But then they start retelling things. You know, you hear them kind of like, oh, so this, like I heard you say this, Mom, Dad, and I'm now repeating it.
Totally.
And go back to this picture. And what's that part? You know, like they are doing this processing because you're giving them time and space and creating a climate where that can happen.
Yeah, like honestly, we've cut off about 10 minutes of the rest of this combo. And that's consistently what happens. They have questions and then it goes honestly random directions about like book, honestly like
Other
totally
things,
random, has nothing to do with it at all. But we just like let us sit there for a while to let their brain get all the way through it. And like by there, I mean individually, like we sit there even if one kid is just thinking about it and the other ones are doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like we want them to have all the processing space while they can look at the images. Right.
Yep.
Because sadly, like because these are just off of my iPad onto a projector, they aren't available for them to sit there with a book, you know, and like which could have been cool.
Would be cool to print off. Yeah.
But like, and then that you're right. It just like slowly it trickles through, and then we re-hit our anchor and wrap it up. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's been really fun to post these live conversations for parents. And like, we hope that if you're willing, like you'll tell us what you think when you listen to these. Like, what are you learning? What are you taking away? How is this benefiting you? And also like, as you're having these conversations in your own family or applying some of these principles that you're hearing that might be new for you to conversations that you're creating, like what has that been like and what are you learning? Love to be able to share with everybody else in the community.
Totally. An easy way to do that is to go to our website, right? And then at the bottom there's a podcast page, and at the bottom there's like an email section, and then we would love to hear from you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this discussion today. We hope it was valuable for you and your families. Our website, trueconnectionsrecovery.com, has a bunch of resources that you can access to get support from us.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways we're trying to help individuals, right? Whether it's through like individual recovery, like partner support, even like parental support, like how can I set my home up as a place for success?
Yep. We will be putting like technology management resources, other educational tools, or like workshops that might be up and coming in the area.
Just trying to provide ways for like families to feel supported, right? And so all of that you can find there on that website.
The more that this gets shared and like as you talk about it with others that you know, like the discussions kind of flow and we can all grow in this area together.
Yeah, we really succeed as a community.
Yep.
Thank you.